Somebody want to turn the TV off? Flintstones. I remember. I used to watch that as a kid all the time. Fred and Barney and Wilma and Betty, and used to drive around that car. Had the wheels that look like... I'll be right back. So the first thing I need to do is break this guy down a little bit so I can put him in the saw and give him a cut. Okay, so what I did was I took a hammer and took the core and put it over a garbage can and tapped her lightly and broke off a couple nice pieces. Then I went over to my high-tech diamond 10-inch slab saw and I cut these two guys out for the wheels. It's slightly larger, but by nothing, barely. So that's the first step. The next step is I gotta measure all this. I was gonna use petrified wood, but I don't think I have a piece big enough. But let's check. Nope. I don't think I have anything larger than that. So, I'm gonna have to use that make that out of real wood, I guess. So I drew it out, cut it out, and then I cut it down the middle after it was all drawn out, so both sides were pretty much equal. This side is a little bit thicker, but I'll put it on the sander and even that out. So inside this model, this is a plastic model I've had for years. I put it together and it was a snap tight thing. The seats look like they were made of wood. Well, it's plastic, but wood looking. And I think I'm going to try to use some petrified wood. I can cut them out and then probably polish it and make it look all shiny. And I will throw these guys in the vibratory tumbler, polish them up a bit. So the first step is to find a piece of petrified wood or two that I could cut seats out of. So now I have to sort through all these and find out what's best. What's gonna look good. A nice round back. I could cut the front, but I need a nice round back for this one. Probably the same for the back seat. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so we have 4 possible candidates. We have this guy here. And there's this guy, which I think is going to be pretty cool. We have this guy. Got some good detail on it. I like that. The back of the seat. That'd be cool. And I could just cut that pretty easily. And then this guy, it's got a really nice back on it. So that would look kind of cool. Decisions. Well, let's mess around on the saw, see what we can do. So we will be cutting this on a high-tech diamond 10-inch slab saw. And let's get started. Okay. So there's a crack all the way through here. So I don't know if this is going to work or not. So I just finished cutting them, and as you can see, 3 of them broke. That one, right where I showed you where that crack was, that's where she broke. So I was able to get one piece, the back piece. I might have to use that as the front, but I'm going to try these pieces now and hope for the best. Hopefully there's no more cracks. See if we can get a good couple of slabs and another back piece. Okay, the seats are cut. This will be the front seat. Kind of like that there. Got a nice rough back on it. What I'm going to do is polish this and this. So that'll be the front, and then this will be the back. Nice flat natural edge on the back. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So now what I have to do is I have to cut this to length. Make sure it's going to fit inside the car. That's the next step. And before I do that, I have to account for that little bit of space. There's a little hub right there that sticks out of the wheel. So I'm going to have a little bit of a spacer in between there to so I don't think the wheels are going to turn. You never know. But I need that little bit of a spacer in there. So I'm going to try to carefully lay one on there and mark it up with a marker. I want to do that because I want to cut a little bit off of each end. I don't want a rough end on the side. I need a nice smooth surface to glue it. And what's an even smarter idea is I'll just measure it. So roughly this is where we are so far. I have these seats done. These are cut out. The side pieces are done. Of course, it doesn't look right because the seats sit up on support. So these will be higher, of course. And that's what we've got so far. So now the next thing to cut will be the dash and the firewall. Okay, so I found some pudding stone. Nice thin slab. I'm going to use that to make the dash, and then I'm going to use this piece here. Hang on, I'll get it wet. A little bit. That there for the firewall. Down there. Here's the dash. It's going to go in here where the steering wheel is. Made that out of pudding stone. I did cut this out for the firewall, but I think I'm going to stick with pudding stone for it to match. There is a piece of chipped off the bottom, but that's going to go on the bottom. And once these go in the tumbler, they might get a little bit more damage, but that's okay because these kind of look worn anyways. Kind of have that beat up look and worn look. Just got to figure out the steering wheel and the radio. So what I have to do now is make all these little cross braces and posts. And I was thinking of using sticks, but I might use petrified wood. So I have some leftover pieces. I have a few more also. What I'm going to try to do is kind of cut these into log shape, like a square, and then I'll have to round them off on the flat lap, I guess. Should be fun. Sticks would be a lot easier, but we don't want easy. We want cool. So let's give this a shot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut these thin enough. I'll give her a shot. You have to excuse the noise. I have 3 tumblers going. I have my Lotto tumbler double barrel. I also have a lower tone, well, 2 lower tones. One's a 45C, I believe, and the 3A, which is a 4-pounder and a 3-pounder. and my MJR 12-pound tumbler kind of bit the biscuit. They have a bad design. It rubs against the back fence. So I did put a piece of felt there, but it just seemed to go through. So this got really thin. One day I was cleaning my other rocks out of my other tumblers, and I noticed that there was some grit around the outside and a little bit around the tumbler. So I had to take everything out, rinse it all out and everything, and then when I looked through it, I could see a little tiny crack. So I caught it just in time. If it would have left overnight, it would have been pretty disastrous, I think. So I'm not sure if I'm going to buy another one of these. They are pretty noisy, but I like the big size. Decisions. But this is what happened. This lasted about a year and a half, I guess. But I'm thinking it was because of the fence at the back. If they could figure out something like the lower tone where they could just have it, a little knob or something attached where it just spins and doesn't wear anything else out, that would be cool. But other than that, it was a good tumbler. I'm gonna miss it. And now back to our regular scheduled program. Let's cut some of these. Okay, so I cut a few extra, and then I'm going to do some playing around and see where everything's going to fit, and then I have to cut things to size, and then I'll have to start rounding them off. So the longest piece I have is this guy, and doesn't quite make it. So got to go through these. There we go. That's the piece that I was cutting earlier, and it has that big fracture down the middle, but that's okay because I have to cut them into small logs anyways. So let's give this a cut. Okay, now we have these cut. What I'm going to do is play around with all the other pieces and see what's going to line up where. And I'm not going to bore you with that. And then we'll head on to our next step. Ooh, rocks. So our next step will be cutting these to size after I get everything lined up and figure out which piece is going to go where. And I'll put a little mark with a Sharpie and then put them back on the saw, and hopefully they won't break. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the dash, the firewall, and the seats, top and bottom, and the wheels are in the vibratory tumbler right now. I'm gonna let them go for 9 days, and then they'll be all nice and shiny. Okay, so I drew a little diagram and placed everything in place and marked the lines, and now I have to cut everything. Ooh, rocks. Okay, everything's been cut, so the next step I have to do is round everything off, which means I have to make something square into something round. That should be fun. Let's see what we can do. So I decided to use my drill press. We have an old Mastercraft Canadian Tire type drill press. The switch is going on it. It's pretty old. It's about 20 years old, so I figured I'd use that for all my rock stuff. And what I had to do was put it in a Tupperware container, and all I did was cut out the front, and I got some edging to stick around just to make it smooth. And yeah, I do all my grinding right here, all my sanding. Either that or I use my my flat lap, but I think it'll be easier to round stuff off on this.
2,000 years later.
So what I think I'm going to do is just round off the corners, like this one. Yeah, I think it's going to look pretty cool. So I got to do this to all the rest of those. See you in a while.